The countdown just like doesn't want to run. I'm just like sitting here. Start countdown. Countdown start. Okay, let's do it together. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Roll. I'm James Brierton in Charlotte. That's Sam Walker out towards the Outer Banks, and Frank Strait in Columbia, South Carolina. Jared Smith from Charleston, South Carolina is on his way. And we're for this Wednesday, August the 6th. We're streaming on Facebook and YouTube. If you're catching the show later in syndication or an audio podcast, hello to you as well. But if you're with us tonight, please join the conversation because we don't have a guest this week, guys. It's just us talking weather, which I guess that's what we do every week.
We'll be all right.
Yeah, I think so.
We'll be just fine. We're going to be talking about some of the flash flooding we've seen in the Carolinas this week. We're going to be talking about the tropics and the latest forecast to drop. We're going to talk about whatever the heck happened in Bristol. We're going to talk all sorts of things, but let's start with the tropics because I think first and foremost, that's kind of on everyone's mind because August rolled in and then all of a sudden it was like, hello, Atlantic hurricane season was warming up and getting ready to go. Dexter's on his way out to sea. We've got another area of possible development off the East Coast. And then we've got a bigger blob out there in the Atlantic Ocean. So let's go over to Frank Strait screen share. And Frank, what are we looking at on this Wednesday night?
Well, what we're looking at here is a wide-angle view of the Atlantic Basin. Well, I've got the Gulf cut off a little bit here and a bit of the Caribbean, too, because it just doesn't quite fit on my screen because I need a bigger monitor. We were talking about that off the air. But anyway.
Adding to the wish list. All right.
Yeah. Right. Adding to the wish list. I need a nice QHD monitor. They're not terribly expensive anymore. Anyhow, features of interest, primarily Dexter, which is this thing up here, kind of on the edge of the screen. Let's scoot that down. You can see it a little better. That's a Tropical Storm Dexter, which will not be a tropical storm much longer. It looks like it's already in the process of turning into an extratropical storm. That means it's one of these mid-latitude type storms. Where did my satellite view go? Let's see what else can malfunction today while we're at it.
Sam, I should tell you that during last week's live show, the streaming software just got up and left for like
just
5
said
minutes.
bye. Yeah,
it just said bye. Yeah. So it might do it again.
Tell you what, let's
been there, done that.
Let's go find another view. There we go.
Hey,
there.
Hey,
that's another view of it. Okay, that's Dexter up here, east of Long Island. And
I'll take it.
It's again still a tropical storm, but not for much longer. By this time tomorrow, it ought to be a no longer a tropical system, an ocean storm. It'll be a pretty intense one, and then it's going to France or something. So it's about to be it's already out of our hair. It's about to be out of everyone's hair, unless you live in Europe. Scrolling further south and scooting this thing on a little further east, there are there's two areas of concern that the Hurricane Center has listed on their map. Which where did I put that? Looks like that. There we go. The little area of low pressure here that's right off the southeast coast that is going to be drifting northeastward and has a small chance to develop. The odds of that appear to be going down. And then there's this code orange area, 30% chance short term and 60% chance over the next 7 days that this thing becomes a tropical cyclone. Going back to the satellite view, we have some disorganized thunderstorm activity with our little code yellow area off the Carolina coast. And again, this is something to watch. Maybe it becomes a tropical storm or something out here, but it looks like it's not going to be a big problem for us. It more likely heads northeastward and is only a producer of rough surf and seas and maybe some heavier rainfall along the coast, especially in North Carolina, like out in Sam's territory out there. But this is probably not going to be a big deal for us. Also, this 60% area, this is the area we're concerned about here, looking at on the satellite view. Earlier today, viewing it on visible satellite pictures, you can see there's a pretty noteworthy turning motion with this already. So it looks like it's starting to gain some momentum and try to get better organized. So there is a good chance this becomes a tropical cyclone. This kind of thing one in the Atlantic, to use Susian terms, right off the along the West African coastlines. Thing two, which could be a concern in the very long range, a week or more out. Because it looks like that's going to try to develop once it gets out over the middle of the tropical Atlantic too. But again, it looks like this thing, and this is kind of what the Hurricane Center is forecasting for it to take a northwestward track and probably end up somewhere over or east of Bermuda, and not be a serious concern for us. So that's thing one. Thing two could be a little bit more of a concern though. Because let me back this up here. Look at the models here. This is the European model, everybody's favorite, the Euro model. As I go forward in time with that, you can see thing one taking shape, trying to anyway, as it moves northwestward, but kind of struggling against some dry air that's over that part of the Atlantic right now, and eventually just getting pulled north. And maybe it eventually develops, maybe it doesn't. It's hard to say for sure. Meanwhile, thing two that's over West Africa now drifts westward, and the European model has that developing over the middle of the tropical Atlantic there. Along about the 14th. And then as we go through the 15th and 16th, today's European model recurves this storm early. There comes another thing off of Africa in the very long range at about 2 weeks out. But the European model, at least from this morning's 12Z run, had it wandering around somewhere southeast of Bermuda. GFS model looks a little bit different. Again, thing one comes out, it shows it more likely to develop and heads toward Bermuda, and then heads northwest from there and eventually toward Europe. Thing two develops over the tropical Atlantic. GFS is probably pulling the trigger on development too fast here, but shows it taking a similar track and then also recurving early. Now, that's what the models are saying today. Yesterday, let's back up to this morning's 0Z run actually instead. And it's doing something similar with thing one, but a little further west. Thing two, it has it further south and going toward the Yucatan Peninsula instead. So it's a very wide range in solutions there. It just goes to show why we can't put a whole lot of stock in the computer models beyond 7 to 10 days because they're going to bounce around a lot. Yeah. We can get some useful information from them, and that both models are showing that there's the potential for a big storm to be out there. And looking at the ensembles, let's look at the at Weather Models Spaghetti-O plots here. These are interesting, showing the it's an innovative product. Anyway, they show thing one developing somewhere near the islands or maybe out southeast of Bermuda, but struggling a little bit. This is the Europeans ensemble, the EPS. Thing two, however, you can see some of the ensemble members developing it out here east of the islands. That's the evening of the 14th our time.
Frank, multiple circles, but the ensembles mean like this guy thinks it's going to be over here, that guy thinks it's going to be over here. It's one storm.
Right, yeah, to explain what an ensemble is, you're basically taking the same model, in this case the European model, but changing the input slightly for each ensemble member. In the case of the EPS, you're doing that. You take one, what we call unperturbed member, essentially the Euro model, and then we make those little changes to 50 other versions of the Euro model and then run the model and see how sensitive it is to those changes and see how the model behaves slightly differently. And so that's why what you're seeing here is a plot of where each individual ensemble member shows the low pressure area will be and how intense it will be. Lower pressures, you end up with the brighter colors there, and that would be a more intense storm. So anyway, we're at 10 days out here, and then going out to 12 and 13 days out. Like, again, this from this morning's 12Z run. Yeah. Some of them take the storm ending up going into the Gulf of Mexico here, some to the East Coast, some recurving before they get to the East Coast. So this goes to show there's a lot of spread in these ensembles right now. We get useful information out of them, and that they all seem to agree there's going to be a big storm somewhere out there, and that there's some chance that it could affect the East Coast, maybe the Carolinas, maybe coming up the coast and going to New York or southern New England or something, or maybe going into the Gulf of Mexico. So there is a lot of uncertainty at this point, as you would expect for 2 weeks out.
Yeah.
But the bottom line
Right.
is there is some concern for a big storm, and there is some chance that it would be somewhere close to the East Coast. But to try and pinpoint anything at this point, that's beyond what we can do. And one of the reasons, and this is one of the reasons why you have to be wary of people on social media saying, posting a model output showing a hurricane hitting Charleston or something 2 weeks from now, is because even if you take the modeling we have seriously, and they're indicating that yes, that's a possibility, but like a 3% chance, and that's essentially what climatology says. There's a 3% chance of a major hurricane hitting South Carolina or North Carolina or Florida. And well, the odds would be better for Florida, but still, you get the point. There's no real point in buying into any doom and gloom scenario you might see touted on social media at this range.
Be wary of what you see on social media. Unless this is the first time that you're seeing Frank on social media, you can trust him. He's a trained meteorologist.
That's right.
Right. Yeah. And I'll, if I post something like that on social media, which I might, I'll tell you, here's what today's model said. Yesterday it said something totally different, and tomorrow's model is going to say something totally different again. I'll put it in proper context for you.
Yeah. Jared, you've heard of vibe coding. It's like vibe forecasting.
Oh yeah, vibe forecasting is that's exactly how we don't want to do it. Yeah, please don't scare Sherry model words. Please don't share scary model runs of tropical cyclones hitting Charleston. It makes my job that much harder. It makes Frank's job that much harder. It just isn't, it isn't worth scaring people. There are people out there who are literally have serious storm anxiety. There are still people who remember Hugo like it was yesterday and never want to do that again.
I'm one of those who remember Hugo like it was yesterday, even though I was 17 when it hit. And
Frank,
I'm 53 now.
But on this Wednesday night, the National Hurricane Center has a 60% chance of development over the course of the next 7 days. So at what point do you think we could see our first forecast cone for this thing?
Good question. Because there's issues with that system out there, even though it's starting to get its act together now. A big slug of dry air that's loaded with Saharan dust has come off of Africa recently, and if this thing starts to develop in the next 24 to 36 hours, it's going to suck some of that dry air in and slow things down potentially considerably. So kind of hard to say. Maybe in 48 hours we'll finally see a forecast cone, or maybe it ends up sucking in some of that dry air, and that slows the development down, and we don't see our first advisory issued until Saturday or Sunday.
We know that now that we're in August, we're coming up on the average increase of when we see tropical development each year. You can see, if you're watching with us right now, that after August and all the way through September and October, we're at that peak based on activity from 1944 through the year 2020. On X earlier from the Climate Prediction Center, talking about kind of the broad strokes of possible development favorability over the main development region over the next week or two. So I guess these things would correlate with what you're talking about, right?
Right. That area over the Lesser Antilles and just east of there, that would be what I was calling Thing 2. And yes, Jay, I'm being Seussian on purpose because I have grandkids now that are 2 years old, and I'm very soon going to be reading Dr. Seuss books to them. So, yes, that was intentional. Anyway,
you got the thumbnail. You got the thumbnail, James. That's all set for you now.
Right. So anyway, and that thing farther to the east over Cabo Verde, that would be a Thing 3 perhaps that comes out, in 4 or 5 days. Another tropical wave that's just developing over the African continent now, so to speak.
All right,
Frank, you were mentioning the Saharan dust situation, and we've kind of talked about this early season, because it seems that we've seen that be more prevalent in the early half of the season last year, even the year before. This year, it seemed to kind of inhibit. Explain a little bit about that. Let's kind of expand on what you're talking about when you talk about Saharan dust and the Saharan air layer, those types of things that are kind of play a factor into what happens, it seems like, in the early season, and not so much as we get into the latter half of the season.
Right. The Saharan dust, what I mean by that is that over the African continent, that's where our tropical waves come from, that become our tropical cyclones in the Atlantic basin. Typically, we get them through other mechanisms too, as like with Chantal, which formed as low pressure developed along an old stationary front that was decaying. But a lot of our storms come from these tropical waves coming off of Africa, the technical name being African easterly wave. That's where they come from, but they come from what they call the Sahel region in Africa, which is where which is like over the part from 10 to 20 degrees north over the African continent. That you'll get a band of thunderstorms along the intertropical convergence zone there, and disturbances called those tropical waves develop in that area. But you get those storms to develop out there, or those tropical waves to develop out there. But to the north of there, of course, you have the Saharan desert. And of course, you have a very dry air mass all the time over the Sahara. That sometimes get pushed out over the Atlantic too, and sometimes with strong winds occur over that as well, kicking up dust over the Sahara, and you'll get a big cloud of dust come out. So that's where the Saharan dust storms come from. There, finally, I got the satellite to load up there. This haziness you see here north of all these thunderstorms along the intertropical convergence zone down here, that's the African dust that's coming out off of Africa now, coming westward off of the Sahara Desert. Now, the dust itself does not necessarily inhibit the tropical cyclones from forming. It's a symptom that of dry air being present, a really dry air mass. And tropical cyclones don't like that at all. If they pull in some of that dry air, it causes them to weaken or struggle to gain strength as they ingest that dry air. So that's one of the things we look for when you're considering whether something's trying to develop out there over the Atlantic. Is how much moisture there is in the air mass out there, and the more moisture you have in general in the environment, the easier time the tropical cyclone is going to have developing and strengthening. But if you have a Saharan air mass out there, then that tropical cyclone is going to struggle to develop.
I think it's interesting. Oh, sorry, James, go ahead.
No, please, Sam.
Well, I was going to say and I'll shift back over to our side of things, and what we saw with Chantal. What we've kind of seen with Dexter, and what we've got going on right now with this stalled out frontal boundaries that keep kind of drifting down and dropping down through North Carolina, and then just kind of hang up down south, and that's where we got the spawn to low pressure. It's interesting, we've seen that scenario play out already a couple of times this year. I mean, is there anything that's indicative of what's causing that, why we aren't seeing them just blow on through, or what's going on that's allowing us to get these lows form over us that are getting kind of pretty potent?
Right. Well, it's essentially climatology. This time of year, it's a struggle to get a cold front this far south into the Carolinas. It happens sometimes, but it's not particularly common for it to happen. But when you do get a cold front to move this far south, and usually when they do, they're kind of limping in, and there's not much of a change in air mass with them, and they're already falling apart by the time they get into North and South Carolina. But sometimes what's left of them does sneak over the coast, and anytime you get a front to move over our coastal waters and become stationary, that's going to be a breeding ground because you're going to have thunderstorms develop. The waters are going to be very warm this time of year. The waters out there are 80 to 85 degrees right now, depending upon where you look. And maybe even a little warmer over the Gulf Stream. So there's a lot of energy in the water there. If you have thunderstorms, an environment that's favorable for thunderstorms there, and the storms get persistent, in time you'll have low pressure, an area of low pressure formed there, and the Coriolis force is just going to take over and cause that area to spin in time. And when you have that convergence going on with low pressure and the rotation starting to happen, eventually you're going to have those thunderstorms start the processes that occur in tropical cyclones to go, and it becomes self-sustaining, and you get a tropical cyclone to form that way.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that we've seen, Chantal and Governor Stein today issued what was a level. First time I've seen this, a level 1. North Carolina issuing a level 1, and I have the press release here, I think, still in my files. Because of the flooding that happened in central North Carolina and Orange County, Durham, Alamance County. We saw that with Chantal, which is the classic example of what we just talked about with the stalled frontal boundary and getting a low to spin up and move on shore. Dexter. Now, we were thinking, okay, is this thing going to form right over us out here on the Outer Banks and, bring us a situation like it did, and it just kind of drifted off. These frontal boundaries, and that's what we're dealing with right now that's causing the flooding that James was out doing his live thing this week with. It's interesting. We've seen quite a few of these this year. We've seen quite a few of these compared to years past.
Yeah, so we're looking at some pictures right now from Chantal. As you mentioned, this kind of, I think, kicked off this most recent series of flooding that we've seen a lot in North Carolina. Frank and Jared, I'm not trying to cut you guys out of it, but it feels like in the flash flooding side of things right now, at least with these systems that are rolling through, North Carolina has just been taking kind of a real hit. And so let's talk about what has happened just this week alone. Here in Charlotte, we got something like 4 or 5 inches of rain in just a couple of hours yesterday morning, Tuesday morning. So this is one of our greenways, and we have lots of creeks and streams here in Mecklenburg County where the city of Charlotte is located. And so all of the creeks and the streams are built up in such a way that they're trying to avoid urban flooding. So when rain falls and it hits our sidewalks and our streets, they're going to flow down through those drains into creeks. And those creeks are typically like 1 to 2 feet deep. Well, this one here, if you know where the Park Road Shopping Center is, it's swelled to something like 12 feet. And it prompted the National Weather Service to issue a considerable level flash flood warning for the whole county. And what was interesting about it is we normally see these scenes repeated throughout the whole region, but this little strip of just repeated training heavy rain was pretty isolated to just a couple of the creek systems, Little Sugar Creek being one of them. So it was really just southwest Mecklenburg County and portions of York County, South Carolina, that got inundated with this. And what I thought was amazing is they actually put out video showing a time lapse of how quickly the flash flooding occurred inside one of these creek beds, because in conjunction with the USGS, we have this system called Mecklenburg Fins. And so I'm just going to go ahead here. Let me see if can I make this any bigger? And I'm just going to play Little Sugar Creek, the same water I was just showing you, at Kings Drive. And this is what it normally looks like. But watch the water as we are now in nightfall, and as we approach sunrise in the next few seconds here of this time lapse, watch how fast this water rises. It swells beyond its banks, going from a mild little creek to what really probably could be considered a river. And what Sam was alluding to was I was trying to get to work, and I passed one of these creeks and never actually made it to the TV station because I just sent a message first to NWS chat and then to the TV station that said, somebody just get me on Zoom, because I was watching as the water began to rise along the Little Sugar Creek. And let me just show you, because over my shoulder, if you're watching with us on Facebook and YouTube, an ad is playing. Guys, why is the TV station trying to monetize videos? What is this?
Oh, you're not spraying for premium?
Oh man, I am not. Okay, so here I am. This is a neighborhood that is along Little Sugar Creek. Interesting, a lot of the lots behind me have actually been reclaimed by the government in recent years because they were constantly flooding. They were in the floodplain, so they took the first row of houses back. And so some of the green you see are empty lots. And you're starting to see the water spilling out of the creek, or really it's flowing down from the creek and just can't get into the creek. And you can start to see there's still a little bit of pavement on this road here at about 10:30. Let me go an hour into the future and show you that same road again. About an hour later, this is the same spot behind me, and the road is gone. I'll wipe my lens here in a second. And not only are those empty lots now inundated with water, but they were starting to push up onto where the rows of houses began. So it was like one guy's driveway. It was just a couple feet away from another guy's retaining wall. I mean, there's a shot in here, Jared, where it might be in a different clip. I went over to where the guy has a retaining wall, and like it almost looked like it was like waterfront housing in Charleston. It was like house, wall, water. And I was like, this water is not supposed to be anywhere near this wall.
Not the kind of water that'll boost.
No.
Not at all. And so this is the scene that got repeated across Charlotte on Tuesday. And we know, if you're watching with us right now from other areas, you can see all of the little local storm reports that were in the greater Charlotte area on Tuesday kind of repeated themselves back over the Raleigh area. We know Holly Springs had some water rescues that were occurring today on this Wednesday. And so they got inundated with the rain today. And what a contrast, guys, between last week when we were talking about, 105 degree air temperatures, and now we're setting record low high temperatures, right, and just getting dumped with rain.
And it's interesting that it's all been central North Carolina. It's been central and into parts of the in the Piedmont and the upper coastal plain, whereas out here we've avoided it. It's all been just to our southwest, as opposed to here on the Outer Banks. We've been locked into the onshore flow, nor'easter flow, which has created its own set of issues out here. But we haven't seen that rain. Although, I think back to a year ago at about this time, we got similar situations like that. We got 8 inches dumped on Corolla and caused major, for us, flash flooding here is not moving water. It's just water. It's not moving anywhere. But when you've got 1 to 2 feet of standing water in these troughs that we live in between the dunes, and it doesn't go anywhere because the water table is already saturated because we had gotten 30 days before the same situation. But it's interesting, just the difference that, we always talk about a difference that 50 miles makes with snowstorms, a difference that 50 miles makes with hurricanes. It's kind of the same thing going on right now with these stalled frontal boundaries.
And Sam, I couldn't help but think about this graphic when you talked about how it seems like this year we've had so many of these events. Well, it's been a really warm year and a part of a warming trend, right? So here's the Climate Central graphic. 1 degree Fahrenheit increase equals 4% more water vapor. There's just more moisture in the atmosphere that can be squeezed out over our heads. Jay's got a comment that I want to touch on. Jay says, the flooding stuff mostly happened in South Charlotte. Again, this was Tuesday. He's in Northwest Charlotte, but earlier, the flash flood warning was issued for all of Meck County, and it went through the WEA, the Wireless Emergency Alert System, on my phone yesterday. So this was the conversation that was playing out in National Weather Service chat at about 10 a.m. So I got in the car. We had an advisory out for the county, and they said they were closely monitoring all of the flood gauges. So I said, let me go drive along the creeks on my way to work. And as I got to the Little Sugar Creek, in chat, the Weather Service said, stand by, we're about to issue a flash flood warning. And I started putting pictures in from where I was. And then when the warning came out, it was considerable. And I was like, oh, okay. All right. So we're going to activate the WEAs. Ironically, I didn't get the WEA. And I was like, I'm literally standing at the creek. I don't know if my phone was just too wet. I don't know. But I was like, I couldn't be any more geolocated on the flood if I wanted to be.
I've seen that with the WEAs that there are occasions where I've had several separate devices in the same house get it and some not get it. So I don't know whether that's, being connected through Wi-Fi as opposed to being connected through, the cellular networks or what's going on there. But it is interesting when that happens, or then I'll have a device that will get multiples and the other device not get them. So, and at the same time, the weather radio goes off, which is always comforting to know that, hey, the chain is working some way, form, or fashion.
Yeah. This is why
we always say to have multiple reasons.
Ways to get warnings.
Exactly.
No matter what your system that you're using is, there's a potential for something to go wrong with it. And that's, I think, especially true for the WIA system, because first you have the Weather Service issuing the warnings. Something could go wrong at the Weather Service office, a communications problem. Something could go wrong in the national system that sends that to out to the wherever it goes. I'm not sure how the system works, but then you have the cell phone systems. They get this. They have to send the message to the tower so it can get to your phone. The tower could go down. Right. Something could go wrong there. Then there could be something wrong with your phone. Maybe you don't have it configured properly.
Maybe you're standing in the rain and getting absolutely soaking wet.
Maybe your phone needs to be restarted.
Right.
And it's glitching. Who knows? So there's so many places where things could go wrong with WIA. That's why you need another option. And things that could go wrong with that. Suppose you have a weather radio, the batteries could go dead.
Yeah, it's so true.
Or maybe you have it plugged into the wall and the power fails. Yep. So this is why you need more than one way.
Or a transmitter goes out.
Transmitter goes out.
Yeah, or you've got your P1 and P2 stations in a certain market. They're in the same building, or the LP1 and LP2 is. We have that situation out here. It's not. That is not a good situation at all.
The purpose of redundancy.
Exactly.
Here is a look at the flash flood warnings that prompted wireless emergency alerts in the Carolinas in the last 48 hours. So you can see Mecklenburg County, as Jay pointed out, and then we had 2 today in the greater Raleigh area. I put this web link in chat for anybody that wants to go check it out. It's warn.pbs.org. Yes. PBS plays a role in WIA, which plays into current events, boys and girls.
Yes, it does.
The primary is the wireless carriers, and I couldn't begin to explain to you exactly how that works, but PBS is part of the infrastructure, and we do know from our conversation with PBS North Carolina that their infrastructure, their statewide transmitters, are the backup system here in North Carolina. I do have an update from PBS North Carolina that I'll circle back to later, but I did want to put this on the screen because I thought Jay and some others might want to go. And there's a treasure trove of archive data in here.
There's a emergency manager out of Michigan, Rob Dale, who will go back through and look at these WIA messages and actually send tweets or Facebook posts to the agencies that send them to tell them, what's good and what's, and what's not so good. He just does this. And it's very fascinating. It's very interesting to see how the WIA system is used.
I'm looking at it here. I've never seen it used for boil water, but they're using that in California for boil water. We're going to talk, Jared, I want to talk to you later in the show about the fires burning in California. I had an emergency manager text me yesterday asking what my experience with the WIA was. It's not a local person in Mecklenburg County, just somebody who was trying to get a little understanding of hey, I know you were there because I could see that you were there. So what did it look like on your phone? I can actually show what it looked like on my phone. I screenshot it for anybody who's never received one. They sound like Amber Alerts, as I think most of you guys probably know. Where's my screen?
They do not make a noise that sounds like WIA, although they should. No, it sounds like it sounds like the emergency broadcast.
Yeah, the old EBS. It's the old EBS tone. Yeah,
it is. The question that I got asked by a friend in emergency management, again, not local to this particular warning, was, what did it look like on your phone? Did it give you actually any information? And I was like, now that you mention it, no, not really. I mean, it alerted me that I was in a flood warning until 4:15, and it was 10:30 in the morning. But it didn't really tell me where or why or how, and all that information was in the full flash flood warning. So it would have been nice if there was a view more button, but at the very least, it would tell me to go to the TV or radio or whatever my other source was.
Now I will say that I think that there are extensions being worked on to that, because I've seen evidence of in newer iOS versions, for example. I know that you're on Android. I'm sure that Android is working on this too, where they're working on adding ways to add additional context to those messages. They recently expanded the character limit on that just a few years ago. It used to be very short a few years ago. It used to just say flash flood warning in this area, check local media. That's all they had room to say. And so that's actually an improvement on what they can do. So they're constantly evolving this system, in, again, in conjunction with the wireless carriers, and every carrier is going to do things their way. They're going to do it a little bit differently. So that, that may explain some of the incongruencies that, that you guys see with, I remember when the national test was conducted a few years ago, and this before COVID. So we were all sitting in an office just waiting for all of our phones to lose their minds. And,
some of us still do that.
Yeah. And one went off, and then another, and then another. And the way this works too, is that it retransmits the message for however long the warning is out. So if your phone comes into that area, you will get the WIA. That's the idea.
So
anyway.
it's fascinating. I should clarify, because earlier in the show I said I didn't get the warning. Well, what ended up happening to me was I got to work. I got to a portion of our building that doesn't have cellular coverage. Yes, that still exists in 2025. And when I came back out of that corner of the building and reconnected to the network, it came through.
Which is the weirdest thing. I mean, and think about this. So your average traditional cell phone tower has a range of 5 miles. Now of course we've got all these 5G boosters. You should see those things popping up like mushrooms out here on telephone poles. That's a whole nother thing. But with the 5G antennas. But yeah, it's the range of 5 miles, and here that 5 miles, you're talking about bodies of water that it's going over. So that can create some issues with it, because you will bounce off so you may be going across a bridge, and you will bounce off one tower and then another in that little short span. And the if you get a WIA, you might get a WIA here, you might get multiple WIAs in one little, like I said, driving across a Wright Memorial Bridge 3.5 miles, and you're going to bounce off 3 different cell phone towers within that little span.
That could lead someone into turning off.
Exactly. That's that was where I was going with that, is that fact that you can get multiples at once, and then it's like, well, I don't want to get this anymore, and they turn it off. So it has its disadvantages. One of the disadvantages I'll throw in there, and maybe it shouldn't be classified as a disadvantage, but at least when you get an Amber Alert, and an Amber Alert does not have the geographic information in it. Just like we noted, you put up there with the flash flood warning. It doesn't say anything specific. If a Amber Alert is issued in Murphy, you're getting it in Manio. Because it's a statewide alert. It is not a geo-targeted alert. It is a statewide alert because of the way it's issued. So that causes all kinds of things. But then it's kind of crazy out here. We've got variable message signs now the DOT's erected. And those Amber Alerts will be up there and we'll say it, but it doesn't say the fact that this is something that could be 300 or 400 miles away. Not that we haven't had an Amber Alert that ended up with a vehicle that ended up, or something that ended up here or came from here, that type of thing has happened. But that is one of the other things about the system, that it's not perfect. It's nice to have, and one of the several ways we could have about it, or say one of the several ways to be informed. It's nice having it, but it does have its flaws.
I have a beef with the system, specifically with Amber Alerts, because like you said earlier, the trailing message tends to be check local media. Well, when it's weather, local media tends to know what's happening and already has something posted or broadcasting. For an Amber Alert, we're learning about it at the same time you're learning about it.
Exactly.
So when it says check local media, we're going, how fast can I get this on Google?
Right.
So
and how fast is it getting on to the states? As DPS in North Carolina, NCDPS is the one who puts those out. How fast is that getting uploaded? It seems to actually correspond. They put it up and it kind of goes at the same time. So
it does. Yeah. So then it's just a race.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break here and do our ad read, and then we'll continue on with our live show, because I want to talk about our friends at Queensboro. When you're building your brand, every detail matters, including what you wear. Queensboro Shirt Company makes it easy with easy ordering, free logo setup, and no hidden fees. For more than 40 years, they've helped people and businesses share quality embroidery and print, and it's all about honest pricing, small business friendly, and genuine care. Plus, they have a no returns necessary guarantee, which means you can try them risk-free. Go to queensboro.com to see for yourself why they're the top-rated custom local apparel company on the internet. And you can see on the screen right now some of the things that we have ordered from Queensboro here at the Carolina Weather Group. And if you like some of what you are seeing on the screen, you can actually support the Carolina Weather Group and also support Queensboro by scanning the QR code that is on top of Jared's face. Let's maybe move that. We have a new Carolina Weather Group merch store where you can buy the items that you see on the screen right now. It's a great way to support the show while also supporting the local Carolina economy. Queensboro is based in Wilmington, North Carolina. So I know we saw last week on the show that Frank and I have our shirts. Sam and Jared, yours are sitting in a mailer in my car to go to the post office. They'll be coming your way soon.
Yay!
Woo! So I hope people
Sweet.
go check out the store. Let us know what you think. I'll raise this question, I suppose. Right now, there's like 100+ items in the store, and I'm almost like, I wonder if we should actually like tailor it down. Like, is what do you guys think? Drop us a comment. You want to just like choose literally every possibility that's out there, or should we tailor it a little bit to some of our favorites, maybe some of our seasonal favorites? Take a look at the store list and let us know. But I think we could get Weather Group logo going on a shirt like that.
Yeah, it's linen, breathes nicely.
Right before the show started, we got a tweet. We still calling them tweets?
Yes.
Okay, great. We got a tweet from
sure.
from Lady D Coco. Coca? Lady D Coca? She's in Calabash, North Carolina, and was recording this lovely flower in the rain. But take a listen to what happened at the very beginning of her video, and I don't know how loud it is. Let's find out. That lightning bolt. Hopefully that thunder sound came on through.
That is exactly what you were supposed to do when thunder roars.
Yeah,
right.
thunder roars.
Head indoors.
Go indoors. So there you go. More rain across the Carolinas on this Wednesday night, and we know that it rained for those of you who maybe tried to go to the Speedway Classic in Bristol last week. It rained just a tad, Jared.
It was such a shame too. They waited for hours.
They wanted so hard
and
to
then
get
they
that
tried
game
to
in.
get. They wanted to get that game in that night. They got an inning in at best, maybe a half inning, and then it was like, nope. It was just relentless. I was watching the radar over Bristol, and it just kept developing and developing. And it wasn't a terrible downpour, but it was enough to make a synthetic baseball field with no permeability unplayable and dangerous. So yeah, it was. They got it in the next day. The Braves won 4-2.
Like America,
so
got a lesson about weather radars in the mountains that night. Like the beam gets blocked by the mountains, so you can't see all the rain. Then there's upflow slope. The rain is like literally just generating over you. It's not like you can track it for dozens of miles. It's literally just generating.
Yep.
That was so much rain.
Yeah, it was a lot of rain, and and owing to the fact that it was kind of a weird pattern to get a front like this far south in August with this kind of in early August. In late August, we see the wedge start to do its thing, but early August,
it was a little weird to be wedged in. It's still wedged in.
Not complaining. I look. I give me CAD over whatever the heck that was a couple weeks ago.
I'm with you. I'm normally complaining about the CAD. It was real nice this past weekend. Like, we went outside for a bike ride because we weren't dying in the heat.
Oh yeah.
But now that we're like 5 days into this, I'm like, little vitamin D.
Yeah.
There?
No.
Okay.
We've had 4 consecutive days now here in Columbia where it hasn't even gotten to 80.
It's like
I'm having trouble wrapping my mind around that. I mean, this is Satan's back porch here.
All right.
You might have to. You might have to go to ACIS for that one. That figure.
Yeah.
That seems very unusual for August.
When is the last time we had 4 days with highs in the 70s here?
What's weird
It's
is
been
we
a
went
long,
from having
long time in August anyway.
Yeah.
we went from like 4 or 5 days of over 100-degree temperatures in Charlotte, which was a lot consecutively for us. Like, yeah, we sometimes get to 100, but to do them consecutively, and now we're doing consecutively record cool days, and it's just like, this is such whiplash.
Yeah, we don't get these northeast blows like this unless we've got something tropical out here. I mean, that, in August, it's what it takes to get the situation we've got happening out here on the beach this week. So,
which is a perfect segue, Sam, to the website you sent me right before the show.
Mm-hmm.
Love the beach, respecttheocean.com, because you guys have had situations this week where, as we can see posted right here on the webpage, red flag warnings have gone up. Talk a little bit about this.
So Dare County launched this through Dare County Emergency Management launched Love the Beach, Respect the Ocean a couple of years ago. Man, it's kind of one of these things now. It's just ingrained in our heads. It's there. And it was a way to try and inform the public, especially our visitors, because we turn over 150 to 200,000 people a week out here during the summer, was to find a way to inform our visitors about beach safety. And coordinating with the National Weather Service office in Newport, Morehead City, which covers Dare County. They have working with the National Park Service, because majority of our beach is in the Cape Hatteras National Seashore. Hyde County Emergency Management, because Ocracoke is in Hyde County. It's actually not in Dare County. And this has become an award-winning program. It's a daily update on the website. They also do text alerts, push notifications through OBX alerts, so you can sign up for those daily. They also push those out not just at every day at 9 a.m. You get a text that says, here's the beach conditions. Here's a link with a link included. So there, as you see, text OBX beach conditions to 77295. And also, it's not just about rip currents. It's not just about ocean safety. It's about beach safety itself, whether it's digging holes and filling them back in, trying to stay, as we dealt last week, heat stroke. Information about not coming out with bare feet or your dog on the beach when it's 100 degrees air temperature and the sand temperature is over 140. All this great stuff, swimming in pools. That's another one right there, because so many of our houses here, our rental houses, have pools, things like that. This is, and again, this has become a national award-winning campaign. Drew Pearson, who is the emergency management director of Dare County, has spearheaded this. James Wooten, who's assistant emergency management director. And, this week it has become very handy to have that. And it looks like this time around, at least with this most recent blow that started on Saturday, which is a turnover day here on the Outer Banks. Sunday has become more of a turnover day as well. When we rotate out, people check out and people check in on Saturday and Sunday. We've had very little to of any rescues by lifeguards in Dare County.
Because they weren't needed. People were adhering to the warnings.
Adhering to it. One thing that also happened that changed last year was that we went to the double red flag system out here, where so many of our other beaches in North Carolina and in South Carolina were using the multiple flag system every day, flying a flag. Some places do fly green. We don't fly green here because it's never truly 100% guaranteed it's a safe day to be in the ocean. You just never know, because the rip currents can form anytime near piers and sandbars. But we've gone to the yellow flags, the red flags, and then, as you see my tweet from over the weekend, or that was one of my stories at samwalkerobxnews.com, the double red flags. And when double red flags are up, that means no swimming, and you can be fined if you go into the ocean unless you have a surfboard leashed to you. That is the only people allowed in the ocean when double red flags are up is surfers. They're still allowed to go, but you have to have a surfboard or a bodyboard, a professional bodyboard leashed to you Bodyboarders have to also be wearing swim fins as well, because folks that do that, they know what they're doing. And yes, rip currents can cause issues for anybody, but they kind of, you're on a surfboard. It's kind of, you almost want to get caught in a rip current. It makes your job easier getting out to the break. But nobody's been surfing. It's been all onshore wind and, 5 to 8 foot with breakers in the surf zone that have been pretty nasty. We haven't really seen it clean up yet because we've had onshore wind. But that website really has helped. We do have a situation where we have 3 different counties on the Outer Banks. We have Currituck, which is Corolla, and Corova, which is the 4-wheel drive area. They have their own system. And for the first time, they've really used it this summer. I say this summer, really this week, because in the past, they weren't really using it as the way they should. They've really adopted it. And it's a shame that they weren't able to work out getting in with the Love the Beach, Respect the Ocean campaign that Dare has pushed through. But still, we've been fortunate out here that despite the fact that folks haven't been able to really go in the ocean since they got here on Saturday and it's now Wednesday, saw a few more people in that probably should have been yesterday and today in Duck and elsewhere on the Outer Banks. But, one thing that we try to preach, and Dare County has been, pivotal in this, National Weather Service in Wilmington, Charleston, Newport, and Wakefield, which covers Corolla and Currituck County, all coordinating this year. We did our first beach safety rip current awareness week this spring to try and encourage education for our locals and our visitors, because our visitors come here in the Outer Banks. They're coming from all over the country, primarily the Northeast and the Midwest, and outside traditional markets, trying to get them to start pushing this. So those weather service offices out there, maybe trying to get our electronic media as well to maybe push some safety tips about, hey, if you're headed to the Outer Banks, stay out of the ocean. It's really rough down there if you're headed down this week. We'd like to hear that from our TV weather folks, that do like to talk about. Richmond, I know, really does a lot with that. Richmond, Virginia is a very big market for us. So we're starting to see this education effort about rip current safety really starting to take hold, and hopefully is going to play into not having to report on any deaths this year. We know it happens. It's always, all it takes one rip current to cause an issue for somebody. But at least it seems like with this most recent situation, we're so far so good. Something I hate to say, we want to play on tragedy or take advantage of a tragedy, but the death of Malcolm Jamal Warner in Costa Rica, because it was a situation. He got caught in rough surf. And he's in his 50s. A lot of times the victims of water-related incidents here on the Outer Banks are many times males in their 50s. The majority of them have been. So trying to get through that headspace of, hey, you aren't as young as you used to be when you go out there. You can't be out in this 4 to 5 foot shore break trying to swim in that stuff, because it will cause issues. But, so far so good. And these are some of the education efforts that we've tried to take advantage of out here to try and push the message of how, being safe on the beach when you come out here.
Yeah, and on the screen right now for audio listeners is what to do if you get stuck in a rip current. If the rip current is pulling you away from shore and out to the ocean, you want to swim parallel to the shore. Don't try to fight it until you are out of it. Swim parallel to the shore, and then once you feel that you're no longer in that rip current, you'll be able to make your way back in. Always swim with a lifeguard, or at least a buddy or somebody you can call for help if you happen to get caught in one of these. So some good educational resources there, Sam. And you had another section of beach closed, not really for a weather reason, but just a reoccurring OBX storyline here, right?
Yeah, well, actually it is weather related because of this onshore blow, and we've gotten that 5 to 8 foot surf. We had quite a bit of erosion again in Buxton, where just north of the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse and physically Cape Hatteras on Hatteras Island, started up Saturday. We did have an overwash incident, and this stretch of beach, and you've got up on the screen right now, is what's called the jetties, and that to the right of that picture, for those of you that are watching, is where the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse once stood until it was moved in 1999. This is just to the north of that site. There's a former Navy and Coast Guard base. That base, actually, of the Navy was a Soviet sub listening post. They had wires that ran out in the ocean to listen for Soviet subs. Well, over time, that site was used by the military and really abused by the military. And they left behind diesel fuel. They would fill up diesel fuel and all kinds of stuff and just let it, go into the ground, whatever. Why? Don't know. But anyway, all that stuff was a half mile away from the ocean 20 years ago, 25, 30, 35 years ago. Well, we've just seen this massive amount of erosion there. There is no foredune just north of there where their houses are. We'll talk whenever you see images that come out here, and we always talk about the motels in Buxton. If you've ever been to Buxton, come on Highway 12 from Avon south into the village of Buxton, and there's a couple of motels there. Well, there's no dune there. This area is just south. And James, you had up earlier the map that shows where the area is closed. Well, what's happened is old infrastructure, diesel fuel, petroleum that's in the ground there, the erosion has just exposed it, and it showed up again this past week and has washed into the ocean, and that's forced a beach closure from the end of those houses in North Buxton all the way down to what's known as Ramp 43, and that's off-road vehicle Ramp 43, right down to which people take to go out to fish at one of the most popular and most well-known surf fishing spots in the world, Cape Point. And this is all just south of the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse. Old Lighthouse Beach, which is one of the most well-known surfing spots on the East Coast, is closed to access right now because of this petroleum, the exposure and these sheens and petroleum smells that have popped back up. The Army Corps of Engineers about 6 months ago had a contractor out, and they cleared quite a bit that was exposed in September 2023 by an offshore hurricane, and then worsened by another offshore hurricane and a series of nor'easters into early 2024, and thought it was cleaned up. They were coming back to do more monitoring. Well, more of it's been exposed. A contract was actually let this today. It was announced that they have awarded a contract to get a contractor out there to clean up more of this mess next week. And they're supposed to be doing more monitoring of that site. That was supposed to be starting next month. And of course, more of it came out. So there you go. That's kind of what's happened with a weather-related issue out here on the Outer Banks. So something we've been dealing with really for almost 2 years now.
What a mess in that picture we can see left on the beach there.
Yeah. And one thing I will note, and we get a lot of this, is just like we talk about the storms earlier, and one person posts a model of a Category 3 hurricane over top of Cape Hatteras. And what happens? The hotel front desk phones ring off the hook. We heard on the Today Show, there's a tropical storm coming. We want to cancel. Or they want to reschedule their stay at Myrtle Beach and come here. It's like, no, calm down. Tropical storm is just going to rain. Same thing with this. Everybody's saying, well, we got this massive beach closure now. No, it's only a half-mile section. It is one of the most well-known sections. It's been on the top 10 of Dr. Beach's lists for many years. Stephen Leatherman down at Florida International University, who puts out a list every year of the top 10 beaches in the United States. He had to pull that list, or pull Cape Hatteras from that list because of this contamination happened. But still, we've got 110 miles of oceanfront here. We're fortunate enough to have that. There's still plenty of beach that's pretty safe to go to. It's just a little rough out there, and you might get sandblasted, or at least you were getting sandblasted a couple of days ago because it was blowing 30 out of the northeast. It stopped that, but it's still rough out there, and it looks like it's going to stay rough for a couple more days.
Yes, and we will keep an eye on the tropics, and we will let everyone in our following know, and I know all of our panelists will do the same. If the tropics become a real concern, we've kind of forewarned on an outlook tonight on what could happen the next 10, 14 days. Once we start getting official forecast information, we'll pass it along. We're coming up on the 1 hour mark. I know the other guys have some tabs. Let's go over to Frank Strait in Columbia, South Carolina, and see how many. He's got too many tabs.
I do. I have way too many tabs, and actually the number of tabs I have right now is fewer than the usual number of tabs. But the important one here, if I can, let me enlarge that to make it easier to see. This is Colorado State's update for their forecast of tropical cyclone activity for this year, which is unchanged from their last issuance about a month ago. They're calling for 16 named storms, which that includes the 4 that we've had so far. They're calling for 8 hurricanes and 3 major hurricanes. We haven't had a hurricane yet, and of course, not a major either. So that means they expect 8 hurricanes to occur in the Atlantic Basin going forward from now. which is not unrealistic, as you saw from the climatology graph that's been shown a couple of times already. We're just now getting to the meat of the hurricane season. The most active period starts around the 15th of August and ends around the 15th of October. So we still have the 2 busiest months to go, and more, well over actually half of the typical number of named storm days left in the season. So no surprise here with what they've put out, with no changes from before. So that's Too Many Tabs number 1. This is something I was going to show earlier, but the moment kind of passed. But this is rainfall over the last 7 days from the HRAP system, and showing that it's rained a lot around Charlotte, 5 3/4 inches roughly at
Not
Charlotte,
to discount just
Douglas
south of the
Airport.
I-85 corridor, how it just the whole strip
Right.
Yeah,
raining
right.
it up.
Right, a strip, and that's the reason why I wanted to show it, is because that strip covers a lot of South Carolina, where there have been 7 to 8 inches, and I think in a couple of spots around 10 inches of rain in the last week. I've had a good bit of rain. I've had I have a nice rain gauge now. More on that in the next tab. But I've had measurable rain each of the last, I think, 6 days.
Sure.
Including as of in 24 hours ending at 8 a.m. this morning, 1.13 inches. So it's rained a lot at my house, and it's been even more to my north and west. And these are the areas, by the way, that were in a moderate drought on the drought monitor a week ago. The latest drought monitor isn't issued until tomorrow morning, I guess. So I guess it's still technically the most current one, even though they compile all that on Tuesday. But this week's drought monitor will almost certainly have a big change from last week, because the areas that were in the worst drought have seen a lot of rain in recent days. And Too Many Tabs number 3 would be the Kokoros website. Let me go to the homepage. That's the reason why I brought it up, is because I have a nice rain gauge, because I'm a Kokoros observer now.
Woo!
And yay! So that's why I have a nice rain gauge now. Melissa gave it to me. Well, actually, my boss Hope gave it to me, but Melissa kind of has to okay that, because she's the state coordinator for Kokoros. So Melissa's kind of in charge of that. But anyway, I have a nice rain gauge in my backyard now. It's Kokoros rain gauge, and this is a program you can participate in as well, whether you live in North Carolina or South Carolina or Southern Illinois, as we had a commenter mentioned. We have someone watching Illinois tonight. Nice to have you here. No matter where you are across the U.S. or Canada, and you see there's a few in the Bahamas as well, observers, and I think we have a few in Europe too, in the Kokoros program. Altogether, it looks like about 13,000 Kokoros observers involved in this program, which is great. We need as many people in this program as we can, even if there's someone near you who is a Kokoros observer. Join the Kokoros program anyway, because rainfall, as you know, with our summertime thunderstorms, can vary considerably over a short distance. You've seen it here in the Carolinas, where you're driving down the road, the pavement's dry, and all of a sudden the pavement's wet, because that area just had one of our summertime thunderstorms and got a half inch of rain, where an area 100 yards away stayed dry. And that happens all the time down here and in other parts of the country too. We're not the only place that oftentimes sees spotty afternoon thunderstorms in the warm season. So the more Kokoros observers, the better. And the website you see here, let me make that a little bit bigger so you can see how to spell it. COCORAHS stands for Community Collaborative Rain, Hail, and Snow Network. And go to that website, kokoros.org. Thanks, James. You just put it in the chat.
Put it in chat.
If you want to join, the commitment includes, well, you got to buy a rain gauge. That's $40 to $70, depending upon which one you get. Got to have a good place to put it on your property, and you have to be willing to maintain the rain gauge, keep it clean, because birds sometimes do their thing in there. Just part of the territory there, and debris can get caught in there on a windy, stormy day as well. And report those observations at a set time each day. It doesn't have to be every single day. If you go out of town on vacation, that's fine. Just report whatever's in the gauge when you get back. as a multi-day total. But the commitment is to do those things, and those reports are important. Even when you don't get any precipitation, it's important to report a 0. That matters a lot.
There you go.
Especially when you don't get any precipitation. That 0, I mean, that helps inform things like the DNR drought, committee, the drought monitor, things like that. All of that information is very important. And Frank, I can't believe it took that long for them to convert you, but welcome.
Melissa put up with it this long. All right, Jared, I think you've got some tips for us too.
Yeah. So one big tab that I've got here, it's from Ben Knoll, and who's talking about wildfires in California. And he has a whole thread here on Twitter, Twix, whatever we want to call it.
Did you say Twix?
Elon's website. Yeah, Twix. Yeah, it's Twitter, but it's fine.
Your SpaghettiOs.
Now I'm
Twix.
hungry. Anyway, yeah, I know it's great. Just gotta no, that break one off as Kit Kat. Anyway, it's fine. They're not a sponsor. But something to note here is that wildfire season is here. It's been it's ramping up in California, but it's been really bad it's been really, really, really bad up in Canada. He has a map here that I think is going to be cut off. Yeah, because I tried to be cute. But there's 165 fires going on in Canada right now. And the reward that people in the Northeast got for having that trough dig in with some of that cooler air filter in was also extremely unhealthy air quality. Some of the worst air quality in the United States is actually or some of the worst air quality in the world is in North America. Toronto came in second, AQI of 158 as of August 4th. Detroit was 5th, 147. Montreal, 144. Chicago, 95. So it stinks when you have such great, when you have, finally you're getting a break from the heat, but that is coming with the smoke being transported in. And we've had several, smoky days. You see it with you see it when you go outside and you see the haze there. And it's just, it's extreme drought happening in Canada. Canadian wildfires have been a thing now for the better part of a few years. We will get that smoke transported all the way to the Carolinas.
We will
very easily. So,
and air quality is something that affects everyone universally.
Yeah, no, nobody is immune from air quality. I mean, even, some people can take poor quality better than others, but most, but again, most are not able to do that. So, we want folks to be, if you have that air quality alert, that's a very serious thing. If there's a lot of people who will struggle outside with breathing disorders and things like that. So yeah, we want folks to be careful with that.
Side note: Ben Knoll is actually a good follow on Twitter, and I can vouch for him being pretty sharp because I used to work with him up in Pennsylvania at AccuWeather, so I know he's a sharp guy. And he's actually living in New Zealand now. He went to work for the New Zealand Weather Service for a while, if I remember correctly, and now I think he works for the Washington Post, if I remember right.
Yep.
From New Zealand?
Yep.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. A lot you can do. Power of the internet, baby.
I should get on that.
I hear it's cool.
Scotty was going to join
the internet too. The internet is quite cool.
Scotty,
when it works.
Yeah, Scotty was going to join.
Yeah, when it works.
If you don't believe me, just ask Grok. Grok will tell you all about it.
Oh, yeah. Grok will certainly tell you some things, that's for sure.
Especially if you use Grok Annie.
I know somebody with a Tesla, and Grok has come to the Tesla. So when you're driving now, like you would have a Siri or a Google Assistant, you can just say, "Hey, Grok."
What I like to say about something like that is AI.
Do you guys have any more tabs before I do my last order of business?
No.
Okay.
I got like 40 I could go through, but we ain't got time for that.
Who doesn't? On last week's show, Jay asked what was on my new shelf behind me, and I told him I was going to make a members only /Patreon video. I have not yet done that, but I didn't forget. We did give our members something else this week, and I want to show it to everyone else now. We've Carolina Weather Net, our nonstop streaming our nonstop streaming YouTube feed that has real-time conditions, warnings, and radars, and now forecast conditions. So for our cities across North Carolina and South Carolina, it will take you through short-term and long-term forecasts to help you not only know what's going on right now, but what is to come. So this is a service we talked earlier. Uh-oh. Is it the audio? Is it the audio that's making me all choppy? If I mute it, can you hear me better?
Oh yeah, we hear you better.
Yeah, it's better now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got you.
Angrily shakes fist at Scott.
Old man shakes fist at microphone and mixer.
It's beautiful, James, and it sounds great. And it sounds
Thank
great.
you. What I was trying to say was that our Carolina Weather Net, which streams for free on YouTube, any place you watch YouTube, and gets you severe weather warnings, radars, and sky cams, now will give you forecast data at current conditions, like you can see on your screen here.
Check that out. That looks cool.
So now
That's
you can
really
use
neat.
it not only for real-time nowcasting, but you can actually get forecasting data. So our Patreon supporters and our YouTube members got early access to this because we are still testing it, and I do expect there to be some weird quirks here or there. But we are still also committed to making sure that the Carolina Weather Net remains free, and one of the ways that you can get severe weather warnings. So we will be rolling that back out to everyone. But I wanted to show here on the show tonight what the redesign looks like.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
awesome.
really
It does
cool,
look
and
nice. That is.
there's a lot
nice.
of. I'll tell you what, folks. Credit to James. He's spent a lot of
Too much time.
time getting this dialed in,
Mhm.
and it is definitely looking really good.
I appreciate it. And we're open to feedback. Totally open. Like, I know I want to make these radars a little bit tighter, like zoom in a little bit more on them. I appreciate Jay's comment here that he as liking the overhaul, and he does mention forecast for selected areas. I was considering like making like a really premium Patreon tier where we could do like Patreon member forecast or something. So you could name a city and we could add it to the rotation.
Ooh.
That's one of the ideas that's floating out there. And Frank, we've said it before on the show, but we'll say it again now. There's going to be a new host on Carolina WeatherNet somewhere in this next phase of operation.
Oh, we're finally going to get Stormy up to speed.
I mean, we're going to try to get Stormy up to speed. First, I had to get all these graphics made. But we're looking forward to having Stormy the Weather Cat present some of this data here soon. But we wanted to get this kind of out in August as we know the tropics would be kind of ramping up, so we can get more of that incorporated. I'm also looking for visual imagery of some of these cities. So we know some of you are real prolific with your sharing of imagery. If you'd like it to be featured, let us know, because I want to try to vary, not the live shots. The live shots are the live shots, but on some of these bumpers, these city intros, I think there's room for some user participation. So there you have it. It will be back on our YouTube channel here soon, free for everybody. But our Patreon supporters, our YouTube members, our groupies, our Carolina Weather groupies, got early access to those new features.
Perfect name. Perfect term for them. Yes.
Next week on the Carolina Weather Group, we're going to talk to an associate professor from Duke University who studies earthquakes, tsunamis, and natural disasters. We tried to get him on a week or so ago to talk about that big earthquake and that tsunami that occurred over there in the Pacific Ocean. Turns out he was on vacation in Hawaii and got to see his first tsunami in real life. So he's going to be joining us next week to share with us his expert opinion on something that he has not only now studied, but witnessed. So we're looking forward to speaking with him. So please like and subscribe wherever you are. But on behalf of Frank Strait in Columbia and Jared Smith in Charleston and Sam Walker out towards the Outer Banks, I'm James Brierton in Charlotte. We will keep you posted on social media as the tropics develop. If there's something you need to know ahead of our weekly Wednesday night show, we will put out updates for sure. But until then, I'm James Brierton. Be well. Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.